Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you haven't seen a video here before. Are you someone who suffers from anxiety? I am. And as someone who suffers from anxiety, I think that job interviews are one of the most anxiety-inducing situations that you can find yourself in. I have social anxiety. That's my personal brand of anxiety. Everyone's a little different. And I think even within social anxiety, there's a ton of variation. I do think that there are a few things that I've learned through doing job interviews that I can share with other people, and hopefully you'll find it valuable. I'm not tooting my own horn here, but I've landed every job I've interviewed for, and there's just a couple simple things that I like to keep in mind before I go into it. So let's start. Number one, this may be a no-brainer, but be qualified for the position that you're interviewing for. Some people, I know some, you probably know some too, who they can BS their way through an interview and into a job that's out of their skill set and out of their depth. Why you'd even want to do this, I don't know, other than just getting money. For me, that's like a nightmare scenario because number one, you have to interview for a job you don't know anything about. And number two, if you get it, then you are stuck in this job that you know nothing about, and you have to do it every day and still somehow try to convince everyone that you know what you're talking about. And it's an absolute nightmare. So make sure going into it when you apply for something that you are qualified reasonably. That doesn't mean you can't shoot up. If you have experience in something that you think can benefit you for like a manager job when you weren't a manager before, then that's fine. Just don't exaggerate things. Make sure that you're not going for something that's totally different industry, whatever, without relevant experience. Number two is be honest. During your interview, they're going to ask you questions. You know what questions they ask you. It's like, tell me about yourself. Tell me a weakness about yourself. Tell me a situation where you resolved the problem at your past job or something like that. It's tempting to create an answer based on what you think they want to hear. But I found that that's really difficult to do when you're an anxious person because your brain will already be going a mile a minute thinking about, what they're saying and what you're going to say. And if you just take some of that out of the equation, just focus on what they're saying, and then after that, tell the truth. The truth in your brain is always at the ready. So I think that's way more useful than trying to come up with something you think they want to hear. For example, if your interviewer asks you, what is one of your weaknesses? I'm going to use myself as an example here. Whenever I hear that question, what's your weakness? What's one of your weaknesses? Because I have social anxiety, I would tell them there are times where I am not as good of a communicator as I want to be, where I sometimes take things head on and try to complete them myself instead of seeking help when I need it. It's something that I'm working on. It's something I know it's an issue. I'm working to fix it. And I'm hoping that with this new job, I could further that and become the employee, the person I really want to be. I think that's a good answer. It's an honest answer. They'll know that you're being honest. I don't think really anxious people, I don't think that they can lie and get away with it. I think that it's going to be obvious that they're not telling the truth, or that they're really nervous about what they're saying and how it's going to be perceived. So yeah, that's tip number two, be honest. And the last tip isn't really a tip, it's just kind of a little bit of advice as far as anxiety in general, is to remember that whatever is happening in your day that you're dreading or anything like that, you just remember that at the end of the day, you're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. You're going to get through it. No matter how scary it is, it could be a presentation in front of the class that always would ruin my day, especially if it was at the end of the day I had to present, then I would just obsess about it all day long and it would ruin my day. There came a point where I started to think about it a little differently and just thought that in 2 hours or however long, I'm going to be at home and it's going to be done. It's going to be over, and I'm going to have the rest of my life after that. It sounds super simple, but it sometimes is hard to think about that. Sometimes it can feel like a life or death, end of the world kind of situation with our anxiety. So those are a few things that really help me when I go into interview. Obviously, these kinds of things I don't think will work for everyone, but I hope that at least some of you watching this will find some comfort, and hopefully you use these. I think you will see good results if you do. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. You. I'll see you next time. See you later.